Hi, everybody. I'm Delisa, the Dream Doula for Women. I help women listen to the intuition that comes every night in their dreams so that they can use that intuition to live their best life. Today, I have Tony. Introduce yourself.
Hey Dee, thanks so much for welcoming me here, and I'm grateful to be here. Hey everyone, I'm Tony Silvi, and I am a authenticity philosophist, and I'm on a mission to let people know a transformative journey which begins with the relationship with oneself and ends in wholeness is the answer to a meaningful life. And I go about doing this through being a content creator, by having an online business, and also part-time work because bills got to get paid as well as I keep on my purpose.
Right on. So, being authentic, let's just say that there. If you're starting a business, or maybe you're in the middle of having a business and you're pivoting somewhat, maybe you need a side gig, and there's nothing shameful about it. You need to pay the bills. Um, and sometimes For sure. Sometimes people's side gigs take them down a different path, and then that's their real gig. You never
Mhm.
know. Being authentic, though, that's something I think the world could use more of. I bet everyone can think of someone they know who's not authentic, and everyone else can see it. So even when you're pretending to be something that you're not, you're dressed up in all the right clothes, you're driving just the right car, and you're doing the things, but people know if you're faking it.
Mhm.
But what
Absolutely.
about the concept, fake it till you make it? Let's
Mhm.
talk about the differentiation of you're faking it, you're not being authentic, to you're talking yourself into being your best self. And somewhere along the way, you kind of have to pretend that everything's okay so that it will become okay.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. I love that distinction. And it's very subtle too, D. Like
Mm.
fake it till you make it. It worked for a really long time, right? I wonder if it was like a TED talk or something that sprung this about. And it's good. It's a good concept. But the thing is, it's in the wording itself, right? It's like, hey, I gotta be fake until I make it, right? So what that's essentially telling us, so um let's say for example, I'm looking to get on stage, right? So I want to speak more at more conferences. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to fake it till I make it on stage, right? So I'm going to pretend like the person that I am that's on stage. Okay. So now I've created a caricature. Super important. That's good. Sometimes the person that we identify as can't make that leap, right? So then we create a caricature that, oh, here's this alter ego. I had an alter ego as well. So here's this alter ego, and then this alter ego can go ahead and do it. Now, the thing is, what ends up happening is when I do get on stage and when I present, get the applause, it'll feel good for about 5 seconds. And then there's this voice in my head now that says, I faked it to get here. So it's not really me.
Mhm. Mm.
And then here's where we can go into a loop where it's like, okay, maybe the next thing that I do, then I'll feel better. And then unfortunately, then that gap just becomes wider and wider. And then now we have this difference between who we are when we're by ourselves and then who we've portrayed ourselves out to be out on the public stages, right? So that's why I lean less, uh, I lean away from the fake it till you make it and more towards like, hey, it's okay. It's okay that I am starting from 0 to 0.5, right? So like the first time I'm on stage, I don't have to say it either. Maybe I can say it towards the end as a fun, like, hey, this is the first time I'm on stage, so thank you. I don't start off with it because that also gives a little bit of leeway that the audience can say, oh, okay, it's his first time, so that's okay. So maybe I shouldn't listen to him. So in this way now I'm being true to myself, where I'm like, hey, I'm on stage for the first time and I feel the nerves, I feel the anxiousness, and that's okay. And I'm able to, let's say, even perform on stage and then be myself. And then by the end of it, I'm like, wow, okay, so I was who I was. Um, flaws and all, and that's okay.
And this makes me think about Toastmasters because you and I are both in Toastmasters groups, and it's all about speaking, being confident on the stage, even if the stage is you're doing a toast at somebody's wedding
Mhm.
or you're talking at a funeral. We all get to use our voice to communicate with other people until we get to that telepathic world where we're just thinking things and people understand us. We have to use our voice. So to be confident on stage, I think that also spills over to being confident with friends. And what do you think about authenticity and you have a certain persona with your closest friends. You have a certain persona at work. You have a certain persona when you're standing on the stage. You have a certain persona while driving. How can you be authentic and have different parts of you show up? What do you think
Mm,
about that?
beautiful. Yes, absolutely. Being authentic isn't about being the same person to everyone. And what I mean by that is it's like the layers of the onion, right? That when I know who I truly am, that I am, every different group, friend circle, work, let's say Toastmasters on stage, sees a different aspect of that same self, right? So it's not necessarily that I'm different. I am still the same I am. And every iteration, so every group gets to see a different version of it. Because the version of me that's with, let's say, like the closest people around me, someone that I'm talking to, a stranger, they won't be able to relate to that. And so then at that point, it's like, okay, where is that person at? So I can meet them at that level so that we can connect, right? Because the objective here is connection, right? Like we're optimizing for connection. And when we optimize for connection, we do have to realize that not everyone is where we're at, and maybe someone else is where we are not at, right? So it's important for them to recognize that as well, and then bridge that gap so that we can connect. So that's what I'd say there. Like, yes, it is like this is where boundaries come in play, right? So we have different layers, and based on the type of personalities or groups that we're interacting with, um, that's the version of ourselves that comes out.
Yeah, so interesting. Um, I remember when I worked a lot, I had little kids. I had a husband who was very unhelpful at home. I think I was a different person to lots of these different groups. Like I really like I can remember a time where I'm arguing about some, you know how maybe you don't know, but if you're in a long-term relationship with someone and then you start having these arguments that are really not about the thing, like the taking out the garbage or whatever, it's like you don't love me enough is really the argument. But we were arguing and having harsh words, and the phone rang. And I said, "Hi, this is Delisa." "Oh, really? Uh-huh. Mm-mm." It was a real estate client. And then when I hung up the phone, my husband looked at me and goes, "Why don't you talk to me like that?"
Mm,
Ouch. Well, ouch. Good question. I mean, it was a multi-level question that I really couldn't answer, but yeah, I could see how I was polite and welcoming to the person who called me on the phone, but not acting that way inside that argument I was having with my spouse.
mm. How did that question like make you feel?
Well, then I wondered, like, am I putting on this fake persona at work?
Mm,
Because now I probably would just let the call to go to voicemail and call him back. I wouldn't
mm,
interrupt an argument to go be nice to a potential client, would I? And I have different groups I'm in. I'm in a networking group times two. I'm in a Toastmasters group times two. I'm I have friends here in the town I live in. and I do sound baths and I make art. And so, am I the same person when I'm hanging out at the farmer's market shopping and as when I'm in my art studio? I think I have pretty much morphed into I'm just authentically who I am everywhere now. But when I
Mm,
was younger, I had these different personas that may or
mm,
may not have been all that authentic now that
yeah,
I think about it. Mm.
yeah, and that's where do you like why do you think we do that?
Well, I think it gets back to the fake it till you make it. I was taught to be a good salesperson, I had to fake it till I make it. I had to pretend I was successful.
Mm,
I can tell people our company has sold lots of houses. I can't say I've sold lots of houses, but after a while, you can say I've sold lots of houses in this neighborhood. Do they ever ask you how many? No. Maybe it's three. Maybe it's 100. Um, so saying I was successful before I was successful, I think was the inauthenticity in being a salesperson.
mm,
Instead of saying, hey, this is the first house I sold. My broker's going to have to help us write the paperwork,
mm.
which I
There,
did say to the very first guy that bought a house from me. I
okay.
was like, I don't know how to do this. She's going to have to help us. And he's like, I don't like her. I said, I don't like her particularly either, but she's my broker and she's going to have to help us. Haven't sold a house before.
Wow.
Um,
So that's interesting. How was that experience like? See, you openly said like, hey, yeah, this is the first time selling the house. That
yeah.
did you lose the sale?
Well, if you want to know the rest of that story, he was actually a con man on parole from a prison in Tennessee for bank fraud. So, um, I think what happened in that case is that he went easy on me and he didn't actually fraud us out of any money because he knew that the woman who he didn't particularly like was not gullible enough. But in Seattle, he frauded. This was back in the 19, back, way back when $30,000 was a lot of money. He defrauded several companies in Seattle by making an offer on a Friday with a big earnest money amount and then saying, "Oh, my uncle died. I need to kill the sale." And they gave him back his money before his check cleared.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But he never gave us any. He made 7 offers on 7 houses. I was like, "Woo woo! Sold 7 houses." And then he just kind of wandered off, and eventually his parole officer called us.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I'm like, "What?" But I think me saying I've never sold a house before kind of maybe softened the criminal heart a little bit, so he didn't really go in hard to try to
Uh,
take us.
so there you go. While you sort of
uh,
sell,
but also,
you didn't get
also
defrauded.
I say that now, like I don't really know how to do this, but it's fun. Let's try it. When
Mm,
I'm teaching art or when I'm talking about somebody's dreams or what I'm doing now, I sometimes do still feel like I need to fake it till I make it because I'm
mhm,
trying new things all the time. But
mhm,
instead of just like pretending I'm amazing,
mhm.
I'll just do it without, like you said, without explaining. I've never done this before, or this is my first speech.
Right.
I do this thing once a month where I can talk for 5 to 7 minutes in front of a live audience, and people bring poems and screenplays and songs, and it's really a cool group. And often I get the feedback that I seem so calm, and usually my whole body's like slightly trembling while I'm standing there.
Mm,
And so I was like, well, I'm kind of shaking now. I said, I'm shaking now, but you can't see it.
right. That's a that's a really good thing to keep in mind, right? Like when you do shake, that's like a physiological response, right? So
Yeah.
the body's like expanding, the nervous system's expanding. It's really good to notice that as opposed to like fighting it. I think I see this in Toastmasters all the time. A lot of people like, they'll come on stage and then they'll one of the things of being someone that's vibrating higher, like that's in a more authentic frequency, is that it gets like the other people around to open up, right? So, and because most people don't have boundaries, it's either like an off switch or an on switch, right? So there's no like in between. And I see this all the time, like they'll just like go all the way, right? And then their body is just absolutely shaking. So sometimes I'll even say to them like, hey, just go out, go, just take a quick walk, breathe, and come back. It's okay, right? Because after a speech, for example, what we do is we have like feedback forms that we give to the person that gave the speech. And then typically at that point, if it's someone's first speech and I can see there's like a physiological response, I'll be like, hey, you can take the slips of paper later because all these people are coming and giving the slips of paper, right? So it's really important for the body to know that, hey, okay, it's in a safe space, but also that
Mm.
like it is expanding as well, right? Because we don't want to go too far to the other side where it's like it's too traumatic, right? So and that's a balance to learn. Like even with me, for example, when I got my first sale, like with my first client, I it was yeah, I was like absolutely like in it. I was like, whoa, what's going on? But I made sure to just check in with myself, right? To be aware of what's going on in my body while I accepted the sale. Because like the first time asking for that credit card, I was absolutely like, what's the credit card number? Okay, okay, I can't wait to get out of this call. And it was paying attention to that because like it was a very new experience for my body and my nervous system. And here's the nuance I would say between like fake it till you make it, and I'm just going about this one step at a time. Is that the thing that fake it till you make it gives is the feeling, right? So we want to ensure that we're in a feel good place. That still sticks. So like when I do something new, like the first time I gave a workshop, for example, it was to a group of four young girls at UBC. It was for young STEM women, and I was like, oh, it's the first time I'm doing a workshop, and totally nervous. I was like, I'm not sure how this is gonna go, but yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna have fun. I'm always gonna remember to have fun. And then even if it's one person that shows up, I will be there attentively for them. And I will make sure that I feel good throughout this process because that is what our body needs as we move through that. Right? Because once we feel good in our body, that's what other people pick up too. They're like, oh, you're calm.
Yes,
Is it really your first time? It doesn't seem like your first time. It's like, yeah,
I
because
love
of
it.
my
I
body.
love it. That's perfectly put. People used to tell me that I seemed calm. And back in my real estate days, I would say, I'm not calm inside, but I've trained my body to sit very still.
Mm,
And so I'd be like, really telling myself crazy things in my mind, but my body would be calm. I wouldn't be fidgeting and I wouldn't be I might be interrupting. I kind of an interrupting person, but I would say, "Oh, tell me more." Okay, if the neighbor trimmed the tree, then would you buy the house? Things like that. I would, and they would, you're so calm. It's so easy to talk to you. So let's talk a little bit about what you just kind of opened up this can of boundaries, authenticity. How do those connect? Can you talk more about that?
mm, absolutely. Um, so I'm like living in this house right now, for example, right? And there's three rooms and each one has a roommate. And then there's like the general area, the kitchen, the bathroom. And to constantly leave this door open, that would mean I would just like be inviting people in like in and out. And the same like the other way too. For example, we have like people coming and checking out the apartment. I'm planning on moving like next month, right? So people are coming and checking out the apartment. If the door is closed, the landlord knocks on the door. It's like, hey, right in there. And then I open up the door. Now, if that door is just open and the landlord just can just come in and out, there's my body doesn't know when something's gonna come. And then that
Right.
puts me in a constant state of, oh, when is someone gonna come? When is someone gonna come? And this actually happened the other day. So the landlord didn't tell me I was gonna have someone come in at like 5 p.m. for a viewing. Just comes and knocks on the door. And it happened twice. It happened at 5 and then it happened again at 5:30. So then after that I was like, okay, let me locate the landlord. Where's the landlord? Because it happened twice. So I go and I tell the landlord, I'm like, hey, next time around, just let me know in advance when someone is coming to view the place. Right? Because I felt that I was like, whoa, okay, I don't know. Like I don't know when this is happening and my body is feeling it.
Yeah.
Right? So that was a boundary, right? So that was me saying like that was me expressing myself, saying like, hey, just let me know in advance that someone is coming, and then I'm cool with that. So why do we do this? Because I'll say this, like from my upbringing, boundaries were not a thing. There was no such thing as boundaries. And boundaries meant a lack of love. And so
No,
what
oh, to clarify,
Mhm.
no boundaries meant a lack of love.
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, no, no, it was that boundaries were a lack of love. If I were to put boundaries, that
Oh,
means
you would be then
there's love.
rejecting, you'd be
Exactly.
rejecting love from your family.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right.
Mm-mm-mm.
So because of that, now we never had that concept. So then now because of that, like what anyone else is going through, I'm going through as well. No
Wow.
matter what, like, and that is where like the journey of the empath is, right? Like
Yeah.
if I go anywhere, if I'm in a bus, heaven's sake, if I'm in a bus on a crowded place, please no, right? Because I'm just feeling it all. I'm just feeling it all. And then I don't know who I am, right? Like that's what it comes to. So when I learned boundaries, that was my magic pill. Right? That was my like, like the Matrix moment, the red blue pill, because that allowed me to say, okay, this is who I am. This is the energy that I sit in. And I'm totally okay with others coming in, coming out, and I can sense when something isn't me. I'm getting more and more better at it. And then ensuring that I take care of the body, right? Like because our bodies are the temple, right? So boundaries are a very important thing in this journey too. Um,
Our
yeah.
body temple. That's what Michael Beckwith calls the body. You know who he is?
Oh, Michael.
Reverend Michael Beckwith from Agape Church. He was
Oh,
in The Secret, and yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
I
yes.
love to listen to him on his podcast.
Mhm.
But he's, yeah, the body temple.
Mm,
It's an interesting concept that you bring up, and I think it's for many women in our society that in the Western world, I don't know about other places, but boundaries are hard to
mm,
manage because we were taught as, or maybe as kids, our families didn't have boundaries. You didn't have privacy. Someone could just open the door to your bedroom and tell you what to do, or ask you to. Women are taught to get along, be nice, make everybody else happy. And if you really go with that your whole life, at a certain point, you're like, wait, I'm not happy, and everybody else is happy. One of my recent clients said she feels like now she's flying the jet plane of her life. This metaphor. I'm flying the plane now, Dee. She said, Up until now, I was just in the back, making sure everybody had what they needed. Every once in a while, I'd go up and tell the pilot to go this way or that way. But now I'm flying the plane. And this is a woman who's been married 41 years. And she pretty much just let people but standing in her own power somewhat, but a lot of it not. Like doing what she thought she had to do to be a good wife and a good business partner and a good mom and all the things, forgetting who she was in there and being kind of disconnected to her body in a way that she's not 100% healthy as much as she could be because she just put herself last. I think that's what people without good boundaries do is they let people push them and push them and push them until maybe they kind of blow up.
Oh yeah. There's that happens a lot, right? Like the pressure cooker does just
Yeah, yeah, and then you're like, "Oh, now I see I have a boundary there because it was right before the explosion. Maybe I should say no." Um, in fact, you probably teach your clients this, but how to say no to create a boundary.
Mm, yeah,
It's
absolutely.
just no without an explanation. Not like I'm sorry, but I can't and I'd like to. It's like, thank you for asking. No.
Yeah.
I
No,
started saying this to a local woman who she's really good at getting people to help her. She's a minister of a teeny tiny church. And I started saying, "Hey, I have this good idea and I'm not volunteering. I'm not going to do this. But wouldn't it be cool if someone else did this?" But I have to just make that really clear in the beginning. It's like, I've got this great idea and no, I'm not going to do it. Someone else could.
because we have a lot of ideas, right? Um, I will say this though, right? Like no is a Jedi level thing to say. Like when I first started with boundaries, I couldn't say just no, right? There was always I just say no, okay, is that okay? Because it was such a new experience in my body that my body was like, yo, please say yes. I was a people pleaser, right? For the longest.
Sure. Hmm.
And one of the things that, like one of the frameworks that I teach people when it comes to this is like, hey, when you do feel like a boundary is violated, there's two things you can do. One is if you want the like if the person is like, just someone that it's on the street or you're not really going to see them that much, you can just let it go, right? Like it's just best to let that go. The second one is when you do want to work on, like the connection, the relationship, what have you, is letting them know, hey, so it's a three-step process. One is, I feel blank, right? So I feel angry, I feel disrespected, I feel unloved when you do dash, right? When you do a certain action, right? So it's like I feel like unheard when I speak and I get interrupted, for example, right? And moving forward, would you be able to listen to me more, right? Like that framework, right? So
Yes.
it's
Yes.
a beautiful framework to get started, and it doesn't put at first doing boundary work is it'll absolutely be like, okay, that person's my enemy. That person's my enemy. But eventually, as like the more and more we do this, the more it becomes about, hey, are we either trying to create more disconnection or are we trying to create more connection? And coming from that space. And sometimes anger is very much part of that, right? So like anger, for example, not repressed anger. I want to say that there's a huge difference, excuse me, between healthy anger and repressed anger, right? Healthy anger, this is also what Gabriel Mate talks about a lot, is something that's like in the moment. It's very quick, right? And it dissipates. It's the repressed anger that's the pressure cooker. That's just like there, beaming, steaming, right? And then when that comes out, that's like that the whole like even anything the person hasn't done is also like falling on them as well, right? So we want to avoid that as much as possible. But like anger at the end of the day, so like that is also what boundaries is, right? So it's like understanding where our boundaries are at by understanding where our anger is at. Because anger is very much a emotion that has been misunderstood. And I totally understand with women, it's, the being the empath, being the the person that nurtures everyone. And actually, before I continue, I wonder like what is the healthy balance for a woman then between being the nurturer, right? Because it comes very naturally and innate to the feminine, being a nurturer and also standing in your own power.
Yeah, I think it depends on your cycle of life that you're in. Like if you're a young woman and you have uh, young children, sometimes you have to just go beyond what you would want to do to take care of your young children because they're like little kittens or little puppies. You need to feed them a lot and clean
Mm,
up after them. And then just when you think you have time for yourself, they're like, mommy, mommy, mommy. They need you some more. I I found it hardest at that time of life to set good boundaries. Like, what did I do for self-care? I remember going to a yoga class once. My 2-year-old was like, Mommy, Mommy, don't leave. And I said, I'm going to yoga. Don't you want your mommy to be happy? And she said, No, I want you to be. She was so clear. No, I want you to be home. I thought, okay, that's really good, but I'm going to yoga anyway. I'll see you later. And just left her there crying because that's what kids are right in what they want. I want you to be home. I don't care if you're happy.
Yeah.
But another thing, like at a certain point, you might say, I'm watching the kids, I'm feeding the kids, I'm taking the kids here and there, I'm cleaning the house, I'm cooking all the meals. And if that's not the job you love, who's going to help you with the housework and who's going to help you with the meals and who's going to help you with the kids? You can say, listen, I think one day when my kids were young, I said to my husband, I can't do it. I got a full-time job. I got kids. I'm cooking all the meals. You cook two meals, dinners a week. I'll cook two dinners a week. And college student that lives in our basement who helps us with the kids cooks two meals a week. And one day a week we eat pizza or leftovers. And everybody said, okay. And suddenly I set a boundary that was so satisfying for me. And everybody said yes, and everybody did their thing. So there's always a way out of it. But up until then, I was just like the angry woman cooking dinner. The
Mm,
anger was my uh, sign that the boundaries were being pushed. I couldn't tell you, I don't want to do this, but I could say, this is frustrating. I guess I don't want to do this.
mm,
So for women, and many women can't set boundaries around their time. They just say yes to everything, and then suddenly they have no time for themselves. They take care of other people, but don't spend time taking care of their own body temple. Uh,
I have a quick illustration with this
do it.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't have the water, for example, right? But here. And it's because it's like innate to the feminine.
Hmm.
If she's able, okay, actually I'll do the illustration first, right? So I have this cup, right? And I have, let's say, this juice. And then I have, let's say, this here too. Beautiful. Okay, I can actually make it. I can make this work, right? So here.
Okay. I hope your computer's not going to get wet with this illustration.
No, that's okay. Right? So as I pour into this cup, right, and it goes over the brim, and if I keep pouring, keep pouring, keep pouring, what'll happen? Right? It'll overflow.
Right.
As it overflows, it'll flow into this cup, right? So like for the women that are watching this, or even for the men for that matter, right? So as you fill your cup, actually we'll focus on the women for this one. As you fill your cup and you keep filling your cup, it automatically flows and it'll flow into the cups of the people that you consciously choose to have, right? And then now you're genuinely giving, you're giving authentically from a space of you wanting to give. right?
Because you're already full.
Yes.
Yes.
Right? And when we give from a cup that's not full, guess what? We're giving frustration, we're giving anger, we're giving repressed emotions and feelings.
Mm.
And it's so subtle, but it is so true. Like because a lot of times maybe they are like women feel this more, I would say, right? That hey, if I take care of myself first, I'm being selfish.
Yeah.
I'm being selfish, right? And it's like no, right? Like when you take care of yourself first, you can properly take care of the people around you too.
So the women that are listening, if someone's still listening, thank you. And if you fill your own cup first, you can come from a place that's full and complete when you're sharing with others and saying yes to others from an authentic point of view. You're authentically saying yes. Would you like to do this or that? Yes. Or saying no without feeling guilty. No. In fact, I made a list recently. You probably have your clients do this, Tony. All the things I'm agreeing to do on a monthly basis. It's like I do that 4 times, I do that 1 time, I do that 2 times, and it's quite a pretty long list. And I'm looking at that daily and wondering what I might want to take off. And
Mhm.
then feeling into the, am I going to feel bad saying no to these people that I said yes to at one point? To put a boundary on, um, I'm not going to do that anymore. So I'm
Mm,
looking at each one and pondering, am I still going to do that? Maybe not. It's a very interesting idea because I think a lot of women say yes to things and then later they're just hooked into it. It's not because they still love doing it. They just have been doing it and they said yes, they would do it. So they still do it.
oh yeah. Yeah, the whole, oh, I put so much time into it, so I might as well continue this. Oh, that's the worst. I hate
That
that.
is the worst.
That is the worst. Just because I put 5 years, 10 years, 15 years into something, I'm just going to continue it, even though it makes me miserable. Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So
I
people join groups and
yeah,
do that.
I do want to get to the list because it's beautiful, but I do want to leave some space for the men too and their emotions here. So
Yeah,
for
let's
the
do it.
right? So it's the biggest one here is that anger, right? Like the reason a lot of men are in anger is because that's the only emotion that society has told them that it's acceptable. Like
Yes.
I have seen this time and time again. When a man is angry, I can see that he has all the attention. So now what that's telling him is, oh, when I'm angry, that's when I get attention.
Mm,
So and then he just continues to be in that space and
mm,
doesn't move into any of the other emotions as well. Because guess what?
yes.
The anger is just a way of hiding all the other emotions as there too. Whether it's sadness, it's grief, it's shame, what have you. So even for the men too that are listening as well, like, hey, it's okay. Like you don't always have to be in that repressed anger, right? Like let that out hopefully in a healthy way, right? There's multiple healthy ways of releasing the repressed anger. Uh, and yeah, I wanted to mention that before. So in terms of, yeah, with the clients, absolutely. So one of the first exercises we do is, hey, map out your day. Map out your day, and then let's look at that. Because in that, we're able to see what exactly you're doing throughout the day, and then consciously shed light on the things. Because we're like, oh, I didn't know I was watching TikTok videos for like 2.5 hours every day, right? And it's like, oh, okay, now what can we do in that time, right? What can we do in that time to move you towards uh, your journey, like towards like your public speaking, like journey, towards perhaps your business. Maybe you want to start a business. You've been thinking about it all this time, and you want to do that, right? So that putting awareness on what someone actually is doing it's such a powerful thing. It's so simple, but it's so powerful because it's like, huh, I never really thought about this before.
I once did that. Uh, the exercise was to write down what you did every 15 minutes for 2 weeks
Hmm.
and then look at what you spend your time on realistically. It was shocking. When I really like at the every day I would say this from 8 to 8:15 I did this, from 8:15 to 8:30 I did this. I was like, wow. I wouldn't have said that's what I did if someone asked me, what do you do all day? I wouldn't have been that
Mm.
honest with myself until I did that exercise. It's beautiful. So tell us a little bit about how people can find you and what your specialty is, Tony, in your coaching program.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that question. I help people to activate right through their voice, and I help them get their first online sale through APS. That's the framework, and APS is authentic public speaking. As someone that's a Toastmaster and someone that's like a content creator and also with an online business, like I see that's the realm more and more people want to move towards, especially as we have more AI coming in. Oh, AI. And the best places to find me, so my username is I am Tony Silvi, and you can find me on TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, and not X, sometimes X. But these are the three main spaces. Oh, and Insta as well.
And all the places are I am Tony Silvi.
That's correct. Yes.
Oh, that's smart. And I love the idea that you're helping people be authentic in a world of AI
Hmm.
because I don't think people know what's fake anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many deep fakes. I keep getting, there's the AI landscape is moving so fast that to try and keep up is also overwhelming.
Yes.
And the best way to move through this first is take inventory of ourselves, because now that is just moving at such a rapid pace. Like companies, like there's this one company I heard of that um they started off as something to do with like online marketing ish, and then within like 2 months they shifted completely into like a product company that builds product. Right, so it's mind blowing that a company is moving this quick, but they're completely changing industries in a way. And it's scary. Like it's scary for me too. And it's every industry is being transformed, right? So when this is the case, it's like, okay, what do we do? And the first thing is this. It's like it's learning that there's no substitute for human connection, reminding people of that. And the best way for that is being ourselves, right? So the world where now when AI can, actually, this is a great example here. When AI can fake it till you make it, what does a human then do?
Mic drop on it. Thank you, Tony, for being here today. It's been a pleasure talking with you, and I'll see you on the interweb with the real you.
That's right. You might see a few fake ones out there with the AI too. I'll put it in the chat window. Thank you so much, Dee. It's been a pleasure to be here as well. Thank you for giving me the space to express myself, and I love that everything that you are doing and the mission that you are on.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll talk again soon. Bye
Yeah.
for now.
Bye.